Hello again. My name is Ryan Christian Mims, and I am all these things. And it's been a little over a month since I posted a devlog video, which feels like the right amount of time, I think. But also, this video has taken a while because I've just been very busy this month. Fortunately, this has probably been like one of the best months I've had in the past like 10 years. So that's a really awesome thing to be able to say in my 30s. But yeah, like even though I did get sick twice within the past month, I also busted my face open. You can't see it, like maybe you can see it in this, but I got a scar now. I'm like an anime villain. But I had to. So yeah, even though I got sick twice, and I busted my face open when I was skating, I had to get stitches. I still had so much fun this past month, and it was great because, like, I was also productive at the same time. So, like, I got to do a lot of stuff, but I also was productive with my game. So it's like this huge win, essentially. But yeah, like I went to two concerts that I really wanted to see. One of them was JPEG Mafia. The other one was like the joint Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan concert, which was nice to see it like right at the end of like the Brat Summer hype. And then like in between those two concerts, I went to Switzerland with my wife for about 10 days. I got to skate at like the Zurich skate parks, including this like really interesting DIY. So that was a really fun experience. I'd never been to Switzerland before, so that was really cool. But this video is about game development and the game development side of things. So let's hop into that. What have I done since the past video? Well, I've added a couple of things. I've added the gun heating up mechanic, and I've added the stamina drain mechanic. These are the two things that in those previous videos were not active. Like they were there, but they weren't turned on, and that was mostly because I didn't know like how fast I wanted them to heat up or to drain. If you don't know, there's no bullets in this game. It's just about how fast your gun heats up. So that rate is now actually being set by a different like modifier. It used to just be a stagnant rate, but now it's its own modifier. What else did I add? I added grenades. I added like just a normal grenade and sticky grenades. I even did like a little video where I sort of explained like what my process was for like figuring out how to launch the grenades out of your hand. And that video is just too long. It's kind of pointless. I didn't feel like actually doing that, but I have some snippets from that video. And then I also added health packs and stamina packs, and I added gun crafting. So this is like, well, it's not really crafting. It's like you upgrade your gun, basically, and that's the big sort of like mechanics that I've added, which is a lot of stuff. But it's like not necessarily. There's nothing like super big and visual. There's also a couple of other things that I added too, which is I added more story beats. So for the first chapter, there wasn't a lot of like the dialogue and stuff. So I added a little bit more dialogue. There's this thing that I have which is called an objective executable, and it's basically this thing that I can just drag and drop into a scene that allows me to create sort of like a trigger area. And then when you go into the trigger area, there's these scripts that I can run, and I can attach them to each other. So it's like they'll happen in sequential order once you walk through an area. There's also certain things that'll detect for like if a mob has died, it'll also do these executables as well. They're basically like scripts, but they're scripts that are like kind of generic, if that makes sense. They'll A really good one is like objectives. So there's obviously like a remove previous objective, add new objective script. So like there might be an objective executable area that's in the 3D scene. You walk into that area, and then attached to it are the remove and add scripts. And so those just follow in sequential order. So I basically, what I'm trying to get at is that I added more of those things to the game to make it flow better. The dialogue is actually there now. I also added some boss music, which was something that I had been holding off on. I didn't really need to add it, but I just decided, like, I realized it would actually, because of the way that the music system works, I realized that adding the boss music actually would be kind of easy to do, just depending on what phase of the boss battle we're in. That's the music loop that needs to be played. Now, the big thing, though, that I did is I finished the script. So this is the script. This is how big it is. It's like 20 pages or so. 19 pages. It's 19 pages long. This is the script. This is a nice feeling. Like it's not very often that you get something that's like tactile, that you get to like hold in your hand when you're doing stuff like this. Like anything development related, you don't really get to like have like a physical thing. So it's nice sometimes to have that physical thing. And then I can like take notes and stuff in it as well. So it doubles as like a game development like guide, I guess. But this has actually been a huge win because it really helps me with my next plans. Going forward, I obviously have a lot of things to do, but I have a really solid timeline, I think. Today is October 18th, as I'm making this video. Now, it might not be when I release the video. Hopefully it will be, but it might not be. I also am still busy this weekend, so it might be the next Monday or whatever that it gets released. But my plan is to take everything that's been planned out here and start what's called white boxing the rest of the game. So what I want to do is I want to be able to go in from chapter 1 and play through chapter 1, go into like chapter 2. Basically what will be there is just the general structure of the level. And I'll be able to walk through the level, and I'll be able to like get to like the next portion. Maybe I'll add some, like if there's NPCs or like those objectives that I was talking about, I might add a few of those to kind of give a sense of like, this is the progression of the story. And then like you'll finish chapter 2, you'll go into chapter 3, so on and so forth. And you'll be able to hopefully by the end of like October 31st, which is maybe a big maybe, you'll be able to walk through the entire game, and you'll essentially be able to play, quote unquote, play the entire game, in the sense that you'll like the rest of the game after chapter 1 will be like a walking sim. So everything is going to be white boxed that way. Then what my plan is hopefully by November 15th, maybe, is to get all the bosses. If not, like, it's a big if, but like if I can do that, that would be fantastic. It might be like November 15th. It might be November 30th. I don't know. My goal is by the end of November have all the mini bosses that are listed in the script, all the bosses that are in the script, and be able to like basically walk through the levels, fight those bosses, and then I'll consider adding different mobs and upgrading the story and just making it like closer and closer and closer to the final version of the game. And then realistically, generally speaking, I want to try to have a pre-alpha, potentially even like an alpha version of the game finished by January. And what I mean by January is like it could be the 15th, it could be the 30th, but I want to have like some sort of version where you can play through the entire game and most of the mechanics, if not all of them, are working. Even if they're not like the greatest looking, it would be great to just have them finished by the end of January. As of right now, I've only been working about 3 to 4 months on this game. I know that, so like December will be, December 20th will be 6 months exactly that I've been working on this game. And personally, maybe this is just me, but I really don't want to spend any more than a year working on this game. And part of the reason why I went with a game like this that's so linear and so short in terms of like its story progression is so that I wouldn't have to spend more than a year working on a game. Now, I love working on this game. It's taught me so much, but as I'm already getting to this point, I'm like, oh, there's a million things that I would do differently. Like the executables that I was talking about, I would already do those slightly differently. I would organize them differently, or I would design them differently. There's a couple of things like in terms of saving mechanics that were built after the games like got started that I would do differently. I think starting a new project, I would focus much more heavily on building a game for like the developer to be able to make things like easier. Currently, like the way I have it structured, it would take me a long time to kind of retroactively go back and make the game developer friendly. Now, there's a lot of things that I have in this game where like I just have scenes where I'm just prototyping different things and I can prototype each individual boss. But in terms of like prototyping, like in terms of walking through the game and like being able to like turn on and off like gizmos that I can see in real time, like I don't have that kind of stuff programmed in, which is a huge loss. Not for a game like this, because it is so straightforward that it's not really that big of a deal. But for a lot of the other games that I have in mind for the future, that's going to be a huge deal breaker. Like I just won't be able to make those games if I don't design it to be developer friendly as soon as possible. So like, yeah, there's just so many things that I've learned from this game already where I'm like, yeah, I definitely would do things differently. But I'm not going to stop the development of this game just to be like, oh, well, because I would do it differently, I'm just not going to work on the game anymore. Because I'm in a really good trajectory to finish this game in the time frame that I want, especially I can get it done before a year. That would be fantastic. That seems very realistic unless something weird happens. I see it being finished potentially on February 15th. I'm going to call it the day after Valentine's Day. Then that means that like I have, what is that? So that means I have 4 months essentially to work on the UI, which looks terrible. And I have all this time to potentially upgrade the graphics. Like, there's things that I would like to do differently. Like I would like to do the lighting a little bit differently, like a better understanding of like UV mapping and like UV unwrapping and all that kind of stuff that you really need to know if you're going to make 3D models for games, or really just 3D models in general. And so I feel like what this does is the current timeline that I have where I'm like, I want to get it done well before a year, is that opens me up to a nice period of time that I personally want where I can focus on graphics with like a full fully finished game in front of me. I would love to be able to at least marginally improve the graphics by the end, or like, yeah, basically by the end of June. So June 20th is when I started making this game. So I would love to come full circle and have like the UI look really nice, have like, at least make the lighting better in the game. And then, yeah, then I would actually feel comfortable, you know, putting this game on Steam and charging some amount of money for it. But yeah, those things kind of have to happen, I think, in order to get to that point. So that's the roadmap. I definitely talked a lot. But yeah, this is definitely one of the shorter videos, probably. I think the next video I'm gonna hopefully the next video will be like the end of October, maybe, or like November 15th ish. And in that video, I plan to have the entirety of the game white boxed, and potentially we're working on the first boss, maybe have the first boss finished, and maybe even some of the other bosses finished by that point. But we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.